Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Maher.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of the Referrals Podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, and I'm here with your host, as always, Michael J. Maher. Hello, Michael J. Maher.
Hello. How's Chris today?
Good.
Can I give a shout out real quick?
Yes.
I got to give a shout out to my wife of all people. I mean, it's like,
it's a good shout out.
Like full blown show notes, the whole, with graphics, with Rita's bio, even though she needs no bio.
Rita needs no bio, but yes, Sherry's killing it.
I have to give a shout out to Sherry Maher for all the hard work she does behind the scenes to make this go and make this work. So we haven't done that before, and it's long overdue. And I just wanted to give a shout out to her. So
it's really good. Yeah, Sherry does.
And she gets us great guests. Have you noticed that?
I know, right? Yeah. Well, I know. Speaking of great guests, I'm excited for today's guest, Rita Driver. Rita is, how do I say this, Rita? Rita once said to me, she'll give Tony Robbins a run for his money. Didn't you say that, Rita?
Yes, I did.
Well, Tony better watch the heck out then.
Watch the heck out.
She's coming for you, baby.
That's right. Well, Rita,
he's a great guy, but I'm running and gunning.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm going to introduce you, but I want you to sort of give me some backstory because you have some amazing backstory. Rita has her own brokerage in Memphis called All Stars Realty. And she has the Driver team. And you've been in real estate for 25 years. Is that right? 25?
I'm pushing 28, Chris. But thanks for that. I'm younger now.
Wink, wink. Yeah. No, that's really good.
She's 12. It's amazing.
And your background.
Tennessee's got these loose rules and laws. I love that. You can start real estate at 12. You can marry at 5 or something. So you can divorce at 7. I mean, it's like it's awesome. So
wow, that's a different world. Well, Rita, you give me some backstory because I think it adds to sort of where we're going to go today. And there's some dots I want to connect, but in order to connect those dots, people have to know a little bit more about you. So give me what is your bachelor's and what is your master's in?
My bachelor's degree is in manufacturing engineering and business law. My master's degree is after I put my daughter through college, I decided, hey, I'm the only one in my household because Bob has a master's degree. I said, I'm going to match that. I'm very competitive. Evidently. So my master's degree, absolutely, is in criminal justice, homeland security, and terrorism.
Of course it is.
I think it's amazing. I'm like, wow.
And you're a realtor.
And you're a realtor.
And I'm a realtor.
I mean, that's so typical. All of those things.
That's so typical.
So typical of the realtor, right? Especially the terrorism background. So
yeah, right.
Absolutely.
I know, right?
So see, I specialize in divorce because being in a terrorist situation or a terrorizing situation is not a problem for me.
That's right. I know. I love
Rita, have you ever seen the movie The War of the Roses?
Absolutely, yes. And it was on television again the other night.
That is War of the Roses is about the worst nightmare divorce situation ever. They actually divorced but lived in the same house.
Oh, yes. I have not seen that.
It was entertaining. So anyway, we're talking about divorce, right? We're talking about
we are
the divorce expert in the country, right?
I would think so. I would think so. Rita, before we hit record, you were telling me that in your area, there are 10 or 12 other agents with an actual certification around, what is the certification? It's like around divorce? What's it called?
Yes. My certification actually came from Kelly Murray, who is the author and professor at Vanderbilt University located in Nashville, Tennessee, which is just about 3.5 hours east of my location in Memphis. Yep. But she actually authored the class, Divorce This House. And you can actually take this class. I'm grandfathered in because I'm old in real estate now, but the continuing education hours, there's a 12-hour continuing education credit for this particular class. I'm grandfathered. I just believe in education.
Right.
So I actually in 2014, I believe it was 13 or 14, I was at a conference, a real estate conference, and I was standing out on the patio with several of my realtor friends from the Nashville area out of Murfreesboro, and Joe Hafner was one of them. And I said, it would be fantastic if we put together a class on divorcing clients. He said, oh, Rita, there is one. I said, well, my golly, where? And he shared that with me. In 3 days, I left the location we were having the conference, came home, packed another bag, grabbed my husband, and took off to Nashville. And I took the class. He goofed off. I don't know what he was doing, but I was actually riveted in the front row seat because I actually took to heart everything that was being taught. So I came home to work in that particular niche market, and it's been phenomenal for me. It's been phenomenal for my clients.
Right.
But yes, we have 10 to 12 agents here in Memphis in the local market that have this designation, and I've talked to 6 or 7 of them over a span of probably the last 6 or 8 months. They hate it. They have no intentions of using it. They actually took the class only for the continuing education credits.
Yeah. That was my point. It was just, I think, like when Michael says, the national expert on divorce situations, I just think there's a lot of people who could get a designation, but there's a certain personality or certain makeup, certain skill set that you have to have coming into that type of a conversation to really hold your own and enjoy it and not get worn down by the energy of divorce. And I think that's why I wanted you to say your background, because you've got a really great makeup of skills and life experience to kind of hang in that situation and really help people in that.
So Rita, talk about that. Like what are the characteristics of somebody who should avoid the divorce market? Like who screws that up? And what are the characteristics of an agent who, this would probably work for you, right? So what do you feel like are the characteristics of the two groups?
That's such a vast question.
I knew you were ready for it.
Yeah, I'm really ready.
It's not on the list.
Completely canned.
So I thought
completely canned.
Yeah, so I thought I'd hit you with that one right off the bat, right?
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. You're not going to stump me, though.
I do it to Rita Driver, so.
You're not going to stump me, so good try.
Exactly.
Honestly, my background in law enforcement helps me because we never know what situation we're walking into. So you have to be ready for any and every situation. Being able to make a quick decision, base it on facts, and back it up. But if you're a realtor who is there only for the money, for the fast transaction, that's a wrong area for you to specialize in.
Yeah, it's a very relational position versus a transactional position. And and you were saying earlier that it's also a very unemotional. If you tend to be an emotional person, right, who enjoys drama, then believe it or not, this is not for you, right? If you like calm amidst the storm, there is a storm, and it is called divorce. And you've got to be the lighthouse, and you've got to be like Rita, very unemotional, very not taking sides, very empathic, sympathetic, and yet you cannot dive headfirst into the emotions of the game, right? Of what's going on.
Right.
If you're one of the realtors that likes to take a side or throw your 2 cents in, not the right place for you to be, because there's no side. The side is that you have a job to do, and that is to relieve them of probably the greatest asset that they have, so that each can go about their separate business, and then each either purchase a home, move into an apartment, or move on with their lives without damaging the family unit as a whole. One of the greatest challenges that I have as an RCSD agent is watching a family that absolutely refuses to deal with the house, and their attorneys don't really push them to deal with the house because they simply want away as fast as they can get away and as easily as they can get away. But then when I have to show up on the scene as an REO agent and watch the children's little hearts break as their bedroom suit is sitting on the front lawn, that's heart-wrenching to me. We can avoid that if we just use a little bit of knowledge and educate our attorneys, our judges, and our clients.
Yep.
And I think that's the another key to this when we're talking about the type of person who can really soar. I mean, and this is a very lucrative niche because it's typically a very nice home sold, and then it is a couple of buyer sides of people who tend to want to buy. And then what happens is 2 or 3 years later, they either remarry or they want to get into a home. So it's one of those where it's like if you can really work this niche and stay in touch, then it can be very, very lucrative. But the characteristic that Rita was just talking about is how important communication is. If communication is one of your superpowers, this is right up your alley. But if you do not want to communicate or you still struggle with communication, then you're probably going to struggle in this department. As Rita just said, it takes a lot of communication and education of the judges, of the attorneys, of the consumers, of the divorcing couple.
I want to say this too for those listening, at the end, I want to connect some dots, right? Because if you're like, hey, niche markets are interesting, but divorce might not be my thing, there's something for you in this conversation as well, but just hang in there because I want to connect some dots towards the end. But in order to do that, I want to keep going down this rabbit hole here of the divorce market specifically. Rita, when you got into this market, this niche, were you at all concerned that you would be cutting off opportunity of all the other people who aren't getting divorced? I'm going to focus on divorces, but then nobody who's not getting divorced won't use me. Was that ever a concern?
Absolutely not. I've been in several niche markets and I enjoy every one of them, but I think what has made me successful with it is that I lead with compassion and I care about what the total outcome is. And the outcome is not how much money goes to my bank account. The outcome is the success of the couple. I've been through the distressed market from 2006 to 2015. I worked those heavily. I was working divorcing clients before there was ever such a designation even created. I think one of my greatest ones was a couple who was getting a divorce. They owned a really nice home, had 2 sons. I performed their divorce. Okay. So
full service.
Their attorneys actually got angry because one Saturday afternoon, I invited them to my office to sit down and let's talk about this like adults because they were fighting with their attorneys, fighting over things in the house. So we actually went through a list of items in their house and all I did was just sit there and write his list, her list. What do you want? What do you want? They had an agreement and I sent both of them out the door with a list of their attorneys. Wow. Then turned around, sold that house. He went on later to rent. She bought a smaller home. I actually pulled off a house swap too because I had another married couple that needed a bigger house and she needed a smaller house. And then later down the road, I sold one of the sons his home.
Right.
Multiple times over.
That's perfect.
So no, it's not a fear, and there should never be a fear of specializing in anything. Just because you have one area that you specialize in doesn't mean that you're not an overall general practitioner.
And in fact, my hunch is that it's not just that it limited opportunity, but it actually created more opportunity. That you being great in one area actually brought more referrals from people who weren't having divorces, but the people who got divorced were so pleased by how you did, they referred people who weren't getting divorced, and it actually expanded your opportunity. Is that sort of your experience?
Yes, and with that particular couple, I have a funny deal with that because the son who actually purchased from me later in life, he purchased and sold and purchased again. he was actually so distraught with his parents getting a divorce, but I handled it quite well. He lit my flyer box on fire.
What?
I had flyers in front of the house in the olden days where we had the flyers, and he lit it on fire
When he
because
was
he didn't want his house to sell. Yeah, when he was a kid. He was 13. He was 13, so that was his rebellion. He and I had a little conversation. That was the cop thing. We had a little conversation, but it stuck with him, and he is an entrepreneur today.
Yeah.
Wow.
And still comes to me for advice, even in his own personal business, which has nothing to do with real estate.
Building relationships for lifelong. I love that. And I think that's the part where Chris, you're saying that I'm worried that a niche is going to pigeonhole me, right?
Right.
And with the niche, it's all about communication again, right? We have to. That's the power of the Spectrum of Solutions document that is in 7L is that we have this document that lets people know, hey, listen, we work with buyers, sellers, and investors. We work with move-up buyers, first-time buyers. We work with first-time sellers. We work with builders. We work with developers. And it's one document that says, all right, we work with a lot of people. And you've got this bubble called real estate, right? I do real estate. Yep. Well, the thing that a niche does, like in Rita's case, is that it expands. It's like an addition to the bubble, not a replacement for the bubble, right? In the eyes of the consumer. It's like, not only that, but I can really help those people that who are going through a divorce. Right. So once again, it comes down to communication, but it's like people do worry that, man, if I just do distressed property, if I just do short sales, if I just do divorce, then you know what? I'm taking away everything else. Well, through the proper communication, you're not. You're actually just adding on to the bubble in their head about your services.
Let's get ready for referrals. In the red corner, we have the average agent working by advertising, learning on the fly, no systems, no profit, and no clients. And in the blue corner, we have what could be you, the profitable agent working by referral, loving life and loving their clients. Take your business to the next level and go to www.callwithcoach.com and set up your free referral coaching session. Go now, change your business forever. www.callwithcoach.com.
I think in some ways, this may not be fair, but Rita and Michael, you can chime in on this. I just feel like in some ways it actually makes you more referable when you excel at a certain thing. It actually makes you more referable than if you're a generalist.
Yeah. That's something that I can address, and I wanted to kind of jump in there, and I know, but the truth is that my referrals are so much more vast from the connections that I've made through the processes than it is simply from that one set of clients, because you've got the opportunity. The communications are so critical and so key to that, but it's a professional level that we all should strive to attain. And that is communicating with every party equally. I communicate with both attorneys, both parties, but we should be doing that regardless, because I've found even in my retail business, as I'll call it, in my retail business, you'd be surprised how many times the husband and wife don't speak when they get home, and they'll get this phone call. I love these phone calls. Well, I didn't get any feedback. Well, I talked to your wife about 20 minutes ago. Oh, she didn't tell me. So it's the same everywhere. And it's just being professional, being prepared, and just keeping them together on the same page. But I've also aligned myself with these attorneys that not only are they referring divorcing clients, but they're one of the number one causes of divorce is finances. Wow. I'm not going to talk about the other one because I can't help you there, but the finances is huge. So sex? I've aligned. I'm sorry.
Is it sex?
Yeah, probably.
So is it finances and then sex? Is that the order?
I haven't researched that, Michael.
What are the reasons for divorce? I'm actually genuinely curious.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So it's finances, and then it's
affairs,
right?
Extramarital affairs,
Extramarital
finance.
And then what's third? What is irreconcilable differences anyway? Right? What does that even mean? Right? I think I'm having irreconcilable differences with a lot of people in my life right now. So I mean, it's like, so what does that mean? Right? All right. So we'll skip that to later, but anyway.
That's after hours conversation.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I'm not going to research that because I used to lock those extramarital affairs people up that were getting paid for that.
Oh, wow.
So we'll just cruise right over that.
But here's the thing. It does matter to how you service those clients, right? I mean, because it's like, there's a difference if it's like financial or I mean, they're separated. Their lives are separating. And then you've got the extramarital affair, which adds a whole nother element of emotion to it, So,
well, it can. I don't get involved in that, honestly. I mean, as animated as I am and as fun as I am and as much as I enjoy humor and fun, there's a serious side to that. And that's what I was sharing is with the financial issues, I've actually aligned with a bankruptcy attorney because Memphis has always been in the top ranking of bankruptcy throughout the United States. So I've actually aligned with a few bankruptcy attorneys that I can actually call and tell them this person doesn't really need a divorce. They need to file bankruptcy. Or he will call me and tell me, hey, they don't need to file bankruptcy. They're getting a divorce. You need to sell the asset.
Right.
So that's a referral right there in and of itself. And it's just forming a relationship. And I actually formed that relationship with him in 2010 or 2009 among the distressed properties of the short sales. So it's just bled over into divorce. He actually referred his business partner to me to buy a house.
Wow.
Rita, let me ask on that how does this referral typically take place? Because like, in a lot of times it's like, hey, my sister's looking to buy, my grandma's looking to sell, but with a divorce, people don't want to talk about it as much, right? They don't want to say, hey, my friends are getting divorced. So how does how's the first call typically take place, or how does the referral typically take place?
It takes place in numerous ways. Sometimes I have the mediator call me a day or two prior to mediation, and he'll ask me for a market analysis of a property because he's going to recommend something. I'll have one divorce attorney or the other of one of the parties, one of the spouses or the other call and ask for that market analysis. I've had a judge call, and typically I've also, believe it or not, Michael, and I'm just going to share this straight out. I had a gentleman call me one day and he said, what the hell are you doing in my divorce decree? Who are you? Wow. I said, okay, I am a realtor. I am Rita Driver. Who is your divorce attorney? He tells me. Who is your spouse's divorce attorney? He shared that. I said, okay. Because I'm retracing in my mind who these people are. And even though I may know them by name, I've not had a relationship with them yet. Who was the mediator? Aha, there's where you came from. So I can immediately track and trace that. What I have found is so extremely awesome about this referral type situation is that I got a phone call last April from a gentleman. He said, hey, we got divorced 6 months ago. The judge said that we had to call you because her attorney told the judge that I was the best at a divorce situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Being known as the best, right? And what
army of ambassadors. So love it.
Yeah, there's your army of ambassadors within. So how do you build relationships with mediators? Right.
I've actually just called them. One of mine is.
No, I mean, it really is, right? I mean, can you really just call a mediator?
Yeah.
So how does that conversation?
We have licensed attorneys who are mediators here in Tennessee, as well as we have non-licensed attorneys who are, I forget what they call it. It's a title something mediator. The difference is the amount of pay that they get. Obviously, the attorney gets more money to mediate than the non-licensed attorney mediator.
Yeah.
Right, but what I've found is with, like I said, and I have to give kudos and props because Divorce This House, Kelly Murray actually emails me and says, hey, there's this fantastic judge I met. You need to give him a call. There's this fantastic mediator that I met. You need to give him a call. So I'll just call the mediator and go have coffee with them and talk to them about, hey, this is how I can help you. This is how you can help me. But it's all at the end about helping the people.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I like in this so far is that's part of the power of a niche, right? Like when you have a niche, there's a reason to call. Like if you're just calling a mediator out of the blue to just network and you have no connection to a divorce market, it's just a little bit more work to sell. Why would I have coffee with you, or why would I meet you or talk to you? But when we're in the same niche, this is what I love about this. Like it makes all the sense in the world to connect. Of course we would.
Yeah. And it works both ways. She gets a call from a divorcing couple. They may need a mediator. Right. So there's your reason for, hey, listen, I'm looking to grow my referral network with mediators I can trust and that are good at what they do. And I heard you're one of those people. So let's get together.
One of the CLE, because attorneys like realtors have to have continuing education. One of the CLE leaders for attorneys here in Memphis called me 3 years back, and I actually spoke in front of a room of 25 to 30 attorneys about the divorcing market. And we've actually grown it now to where it includes home inspectors as well as mortgage lenders. Mortgage lenders also have to have continuing education. They are now licensed, which is, I think, a fabulous and fantastic deal, because we're actually getting rid of some of the predators and some of the riffraff. But with this particular designation for lenders as well, what I'm finding is that I call my lenders. I actually forced my 2 lenders that I love to go and take this class, because I know that when I turn over a client who's getting a divorce to either one of them, that they're not just spouting you can or you can't. They're giving them the big picture, because a lot of things shift in a divorce from a couple being married, and that can up to 3 and including homeowners insurance.
Yeah. I have a couple questions before we wrap up. One of them is, how did you get into this, Rita? Like, how did you, or maybe how would somebody else get in, knowing what you know now about it? How would you recommend somebody else kind of get into this specific niche in the divorce market?
I would suggest that they call me.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah. Super generous.
And I'll tell you why. I'll share with you why, because it's a very passionate subject to me. And I've talked to people across the United States about this particular niche market. And the truth is, it's not for everyone. If you're having trouble of your own, you're probably not going to be a good fit here. If you are very weak as far as standing your ground and knowing that if you get called into court, that you have all of your documents in a row, and you like to talk too much, you're probably in the wrong niche. But the way I got started was exactly that. I was already performing sales for divorcing clients, but I knew that there should be something greater education-wise in order to educate our title companies, our attorneys, our lenders, because just because you want a divorce doesn't mean you need to keep the house.
Right.
You need to make a wiser decision. And I was also seeing a lot of retraced back to divorce attorneys. And I was having some of my attorneys tell me, I can't believe that I've got to go back to court with them. The husband was supposed to refinance the house 6 months ago. You know what?
Wow.
once you sign that MDA, it's too late. We need to be refinancing now. You either can or you can't.
Right.
There's no in between. And if you can't do it today, you're probably not going to be able to do it in 6 months, but you're still tied financially to that house, even though you've given up all rights to it. So I think it's an education process for our clients as well. And that's kind of my soapbox. And that's what I would share with others, because I've actually talked to people who've made fantastic divorcing agents across the United States. And then I've talked to some that, and don't believe that anybody can give you the business and insist that a judge name you and use you, because I know that there are some people out there who are touting that for large sums of money to come to this class, and we guarantee you. There's no guarantee. It's like everything else in life.
Right.
The only guarantee you got is the one that you take yourself.
There's so many gems, Michael, to use your word. There's so many gems in this episode. If you listen back through this episode from a place of a niche market, not just the divorce market, but a niche market period, and you start to try to connect the dots here, like so a couple things. Let me connect a couple. Michael, you can throw a couple in if you hear them, like Rita, you too. But one, Rita's background was a great fit for this niche. So I think sometimes you can look at what is your background? Where do you feel strong? What environments are really natural for you? And then start to look for what kind of a niche market would really line up with that. I think, Rita, that's why that felt so natural for you when that came your direction. Yeah.
Yeah, and I forgot to tell you, Chris, a little known secret is I also was a mortgage lender. My husband used to tease me and say anything with officer behind it, I liked it. So police officer, loan officer, it all kind of fit. Because I also became a loan officer because you can't learn it in a classroom. So I actually did it to learn it. So it's hands-on.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, officer. So
parole officer.
I've done a few times in my day. So it's like being a traffic cop a little bit too, right? I mean, it's like stop here, go, stop, go. Right. So it really sounds like a perfect niche for a DC or CD on the disc where, high driver, like Rita Driver. And then you've also got to get your ducks in a row, right? You've got to have your detail oriented side and make sure, like she said, what's funny though, is that if you develop the divorce niche, you will be a better agent because all the things that she was talking about from the aspect of the divorce is actually how we should be in retail. We should have our ducks in a row. We should communicate with everybody. We should have our papers in order. We should be ready to go to court anytime to defend our actions and to have our stuff together. And trust me, those agents that talk too much and detail too little are the ones who get into trouble. Yeah. So I love how the bigger lesson of this is that, simply by getting the designation and learning more about this and focusing on this niche, you're going to become a better real estate agent in general and quite honestly, probably a better person,
Yeah. It's really good.
I'm a big advocate of education, and that's one of the things that we're working on also is, I know saying too much, but to go to court, there's a dress code for that. There are things that you need to take for that. The judge will ask you, one of my favorite judges asked me one day, he said, before we start, Miss Driver, are you married to Bob Driver? Are you related to him? And I said, well, yes, sir. He is my husband. He said, well, I'm so sorry. So, they're happy to see you too, because it's not a battle with you and them. You're just there to give the judge, right. You're there as a problem solver. And that's all a niche market is where do people have a problem in society and what can you do to pose a solution to it? And that's so powerful because that's what you're doing even in a court of law if you rarely get called there. And it is rare, but we do. And you're not there as an adversary, You're there as a support to both parties so that the judge can make the best determination.
Yeah. So good. I love it. I seriously, go back and listen to this episode for all the different places that you can connect some dots. Rita, thank you for sharing your wisdom and your life experience, your 28 years of real estate experience. If people want to connect with you, if they really want to take you up on that invitation to talk to you, like how do people reach out to you? How do they find you?
You can Absolutely. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Rita Driver on Facebook. I love that. My phone number is 901-674-7653. And then obviously email is Rita Driver, the number 1 @gmail.com. And you can always find me at ReferCo.
That's right.
Nice. That's perfect.
Right.
I love it. Yes, Rita is a certified referral trainer, right, Michael?
That's right. She is a CRT, certified referral trainer, one of our top coaches.
Yep.
And, helps on a variety of subjects, but really can help people establish themselves in their niches. So, yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Michael, if people want to learn more about Referrals Podcast or ReferCo, people can go to referralspodcast.com. Yes, any other place you want to send them?
And there's always a download, right, with every episode. So check it out. Go to referralspodcast.com. Download today's special gift. And I'll tell you, Rita, I just have to say I always go back to, in life, there are drivers and passengers. Life is not a spectator sport. It's not a passenger sport. Life is a driver sport. Life is a competitive, participatory sport. And you definitely you are a driver, and you definitely are a leader. And I just appreciate everything you bring to this industry, far and above what you've brought to this podcast, or even bring to ReferCo on a daily basis. So thank you.
So good.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Great place to wrap. Let's wrap on that loving note. Thanks, gang, for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next episode. Rita, Michael, take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.